Welcome to the Audacity to Podcast, episode 134, 5 WordPress plugins for faster blogging and podcasting. Hi, I'm Daniel J. Lewis from the AudacityToPodcast.com. WordPress is a great platform that makes it really easy to publish blog posts and podcast episodes to your website, but you may find yourself doing the same things over and over and over again and spending a lot of time on these monotonous tasks. So I'm going to share with you 5 different plugins that you can use to speed up this process. And all but one of these plugins are free. You can get the list just below this video or at theaudacitytopodcast.com/134. I'll be using my personal blog, danieljlewis.net, as the example for how to use each of these plugins. So the first plugin that we'll look at is resize images before upload. Here's the problem. When you go to create a podcast episode or a blog post and you want to attach an image, maybe it's an image you purchased somewhere or that you've downloaded, hopefully legally, or maybe an image that you took with your camera. I'm going to create a blog post or podcast episode about jelly beans. I've got this beautiful image that I took of some cool looking jelly beans. And this image was taken with my Canon T4i Digital Rebel camera. This is a beautiful camera, takes great photos, and the image was actually much bigger than this in its RAW format, but I turned it into a JPEG and still 4.2 megabytes. That's big for the web. Actual image dimensions are 5,184 pixels by 3,456 pixels. That's a big image, much bigger than it needs to be on the web. So the problem is that if we upload this image as it is to the web, it's going to take up space. It might slow some things down. If you accidentally embed this image, and WordPress does some little resizes, so you can insert a smaller image, but if you accidentally embed the full-size image, then your website will take a long time to load because it has to download this 4.2 megabyte image, really big, much bigger than it needs to be. You could use Photoshop or some kind of image editor on your computer to open this image, scale it down, save it, then upload that version. Then it's a mess to deal with that. So that's why I recommend the plugin Resize Images Before Upload. Here's what it does. It layers itself on top of the normal image uploader for WordPress. So just like normal, I can drag an image from my computer into WordPress, and this works with HTML5 browsers. That's pretty much any modern desktop browser. It doesn't work on mobile yet, but it uploads this image, and look at that. Instead of that full size of 5184 by 3456, it's scaled the image down to 600 by 400. Just in case you doubt this, down here at the full size, it says 600 by 400. It has automatically resized the image before uploading it to WordPress. So it actually didn't upload until it had resized on my computer. My browser is handling the upload for me. Now you might wonder, where did that 600 by 400 come from? That comes from your default settings for media on your blog. So just go to Settings, Media, and you'll see different image sizes. And I have here my large size set to 600 by 600. So whatever dimension or angle, perspective that the image is, it will fit within this box, 600 by 600, without being cropped. So in my case of this particular image, it scaled it to 600 by 400. If that image dimension isn't good enough for you, or you want to do something else where you use large images on your site, but you want to have the bigger version, like maybe a 1080p HD version that people can click on to zoom in, then they give instructions here to edit your wp-config.php file, and you paste in these couple lines of code into that file in order to change the defaults. It sounds a little bit intimidating, but it's not that hard. Get the FTP information from your web host, log in, go to your regular WordPress folder, and open the wp-config.php file. I've already pasted these lines in here, so I'll just uncomment these lines, and you see that they're now active. They changed their colors. So I want my images to fit within a box of 1920 by 1080. That is full 1080p resolution size. I could also use these other codes that they give through the documentation in order to force a particular image quality, or even a particular image file size shouldn't be any larger than a certain thing, but I'm not going to use those for now. I'll just focus on this width and height. Save that and re-upload it to my FTP. And then when I come back to my site, when I upload this image again, you will see that the image size will now be 1920 by 1200, or rather it will fit within that size. So we'll come back here, upload the image, it resizes it, then uploads the resized version to my website, and now it is 1620 by 1080. It's smaller than my actual dimensions because it's fitting it within the dimensions of 1920 by 1080 without cropping it. So that's why it's 1620 by 1080. This is saving me time from having to open an image editor, having to save the file, export the file, do all kinds of stuff like that, and have multiple files to manage. I just drag it into WordPress, it resizes it for me. So now that 4.2 megabyte image isn't on my site. It's a much smaller image on my site. Actually, let's go check. How big is that image that it uploaded to my site? We'll go into my uploads, look at how big the image is. And the image that it just uploaded, that 1920 image, is 200 kilobytes. That's a lot smaller than 4.2 megabytes. And then it's made its other WordPress versions and resizes for me as well, so I can use those on my site. So when I come here to my site, I can embed either the full size, the large, the medium, or thumbnail, just like any other image you would normally upload, but it's resized it automatically for me. As a bonus to this, also look at WP Smush It. This will add extra optimization to your images once they're uploaded to the web to make them a little bit smaller, but Resize Images Before Upload does a pretty good job at this. So that's plugin number 1. Plugin number 2 to blog or podcast faster is Grab and Save. This is another plugin that saves time. Let's look at a site that I use a lot called compfight.com, where I can search for images and choose what kind of images I want to use, what kind of license and such. So I'm going to use, for this example, I want a commercial image, I want to show originals. So I've searched for more jelly beans and I want to use this image. So I find this image and I've got different download options here. Here's what you might normally face. I would have to download this image, then re-upload it to my website, or download it, maybe resize it, but we're using a plugin for that. That takes time, then I have to manage all these download files, but this will be much easier. With Grab and Save, I can copy the URL, that is the web address, to the image that I want, come back to my post, click Add Media as normal, but this time instead of uploading and not even insert from URL, that does not put this image in my WordPress library. I'll go to Grab and Save because this is the new plugin that I've installed on my site. I'll paste in this URL, and it gives us a second option here that we can do, because notice how nasty that file name is. That's just disgusting. I want something better that will help my search engine ranking, will help make more sense on my website. So I could just type in here, jelly beans on table, and click Grab. Now what it does is WordPress goes out there, downloads the image to the WordPress database, so it then still resizes the image for thumbnails, full size, and all of that I can use on my image. As you see, I now have these different image sizes. You wouldn't normally get that from just insert URL or insert from URL, and I can use this image in many different ways. But do take note that we want to add that caption into our image to be able to give copyright notice and attribution to the person who took this fine image that we would be using. So that is the Grab and Save plugin that will grab your images, save them to your WordPress site so that then they can be manipulated, resized and such, and served from your website. Plugin number 3, Shortcode Exec PHP. That's a really weird sounding name, but do you ever find that your blog posts or podcast episodes always use the same kind of code at the end? I'll give an example here from one of my episodes of my Clean Comedy Podcast at cleancomedypodcast.com. If you look at my notes here, at the end, I always include pretty much the same stuff. I say, tell us something funny. It's all my contact information. Come watch the live show, some information about that. Connect with us. Click these links to follow us on Twitter. All these links to my other podcast and all of this stuff. That's a lot of stuff to have to type in every single post. But I'm not having to type that. I'm not even having to copy and paste that because I can use shortcode exec PHP. Once you've installed this plugin, go to your tools section of your site and shortcode exec PHP. This creates the shortcode that will represent the code that we want to use over and over and over again. So here's what I've created: a show notes _ close shortcode. And I've pasted in this information. Now, do take note that this information needs to be in HTML. You don't get the rich text formatting here. It needs to be HTML. So that's why you're seeing these tags and all of this HTML stuff. And also very important, whatever you put in here, whether it's HTML code or just anything other than PHP, it needs to have this question mark and greater than sign at the beginning. And then at the end of your code, it needs to have the less than and question mark sign. That's just telling it that, hey, the stuff that's between these two marks is not PHP, so render it as standard HTML. So when I use this on my post and enter the show notes close shortcode, I'll save this draft and then preview it. You will see that it has automatically inserted all of that text for me, including remembering these buttons, which using these buttons inside of WordPress is a pain if you try and paste that inside of the post editor. But this has remembered it right inside of my post. And all I had to do was write this: show notes close. The beauty of using this is that if I ever want to go back and change how these closing notes show up in every single post, then I can do that once. And it shows up across all of my posts that way, and it changes them all for me. So if maybe I decide that, oh, I need to have a link in there to my Google Plus page, I can add that in, or change my email address, or change the phone number. I don't have to find and replace everywhere I've used it. I just change it once, and that's in the shortcode exec PHP, and then that applies to everything else on my site. You just might want to clear your cache if you use something like that. So that's number 3, shortcode exec PHP. The fourth plugin is Simple Post Template. You may find that your posts not only end with the exact same text every single time, then that's what our shortcode is using, but maybe your show notes always follow a certain pattern. Like my show notes always have an image, the PowerPress player, some little excerpt, a fake sponsor, random Noodle updates, feedback, Noodles in the news, iTunes reviews section, and then the shortcode. So I could copy and paste that text from post to post to post, and then sometimes that presents its own extra problems inside of my editor and formatting and such. But there's a much easier way to do this, and that is with the Simple Post Template plugin. When you go to Simple Post Template and add a template, you can define what you want automatically inserted into certain posts for you. So here I've gone in and defined a title, an excerpt, and my content for my post. And getting this information is really easy. Do take note, though, that this should also use HTML inside of it. You don't have to include the P tags and everything, but the way that you can get this information is just by going to Edit Your Post, switch over to the Text tab, and copy everything you see here, then come back to here, paste it into the content, then just strip out the stuff that you don't need every single time, like my specific information there. I don't need that. I don't need my image. I don't need these paragraphs. I don't need these paragraphs. I don't need this paragraph or that paragraph. I don't want my image auto-inserted every single time. So it could be as simple as this. And then I just add extra text in here to remind me what to replace later on. Then save that. Then when I come to create a post, instead of copying and pasting this information from post to post, I just come over here. I've got this new option, Simple Post Template, and I see my podcast episode template is in there. So I click Load Template. Yes, I want to wipe everything that's here because I'm starting out fresh with a new template. And boom, there it is. That stuff that I have to copy and paste from episode to episode and then clean out the stuff I'm not reusing. It's all right here for me. So all I have to do is start filling in my information for this episode. Or if I don't want a section, then I can just remove that section and move things around if I need to. But it has saved me so much more time from copying and pasting and duplicating or anything like that because I have this template. That is number 4, the Simple Post Template plugin for WordPress. And number 5, Pretty Link Pro. This is the plugin that does cost. Pretty Link is a great plugin that you can get Pretty Link Lite for free, but the Pro version features this additional ability that I'm about to show you. Now, do keep in mind the Pro version is $37 for just one site or $97 for an unlimited number of sites. You get lifetime updates with this. This is a great plugin. I do use it and highly recommend it. Please check it out through my affiliate link, theaudacitytopodcast.com/PrettyLinkPro. But Pretty Link Pro adds in a nice ability for us to create handy, pretty links on our sites. So if we want to say that this is episode 1, instead of changing our slug here to say 1 and lose all of that Google juice for whatever our episode title is, Pretty Link Pro allows us to easily create a short link that will go to this post. So I just saved the draft. Let's go here to Pretty Link. Once you've enabled Pretty Link Pro, you can come into the Pretty Link Pro options and come under Page and Post options, and I'll tell it create pretty links for posts, create pretty links for pages, and save these options. I'm also going to come in to keyword and URL replacement and enable that. And I'll show you more about that in just a moment. So save this and then go back to my post. And now I've got this new section, Pretty Link Pro, over on the upper right side. And this is where I can say, I want this to be 1. And it can be that simple that URL, danieljlewis.net/1 or whatever your domain is how people would then have access to this specific post on my site. So that way I don't have to change my slug. If people type in danieljlewis.net/1, it redirects them to danieljlewis.net/podcast-episode-trn-2, if that's my slug, or it might be something even more complicated and hard to remember. That's Pretty Link Pro. I do highly recommend it. It's got many more features that are extremely valuable, including this other feature that I'm going to show you. And that is, do you ever find yourself relinking the same basic affiliate links or particular links on your site that just takes you so much time to link it over and over and over again, the same links? Well, Pretty Link Pro enables this feature. You saw that thing that I enabled, the keyword replacement. When I create a pretty link in Pretty Link Pro, I can come to the Advanced tab and I can say to always replace keywords with this hyperlink. So right now I'm saying that anytime I type in the name or the word Amazon.com, it will replace that with my link. So let's look at that on my post. Let's just say that I come here into my post and add into my show notes Daniel, Amazon.com. And then we'll preview this and you'll see that there it is, automatically hyperlinked for me. I didn't have to do anything to add this hyperlink except just type this in. I didn't have to select it, do the hyperlink, type in my URL. I just had already created a pretty link for this, and I told it anytime I use the phrase Amazon.com to replace that with a pretty link and hyperlink it in my notes. So there it is, all nice and handy for me. That is the Pretty Link Pro plugin, $37 for individual sites or $97 for unlimited sites. Check that out through my affiliate link, theaudacitytopodcast.com/PrettyLinkPro. So that's it. 5 WordPress plugins to podcast or blog faster. Please get the full list of these plugins below this video or at theaudacitytopodcast.com/134 and subscribe for more updates like this. You can subscribe on YouTube or through iTunes at theaudacitytopodcast.com/iTunes video for the video edition, or just /iTunes for the weekly audio edition that I normally host. And you can go to theaudacitytopodcast.com to learn a whole lot more about podcasting and using Audacity. Look at hiring me to help you podcast with success, to launch your podcast or improve your podcast, get my WordPress plugin, and so much there over at theaudacitytopodcast.com. If you'd like to send me feedback, please comment just below this video or on the show notes at theaudacitytopodcast.com/134, or send me questions for future episodes by emailing feedback@theaudacitytopodcast.com or leave a voicemail at 903-231-2221. You can also go to theaudacitytopodcast.com on your computer or iOS device and click on the Send Voice Message tab to record a message right from the website and send it to me. I trust that this has been helpful to you and will speed up your blogging and podcasting on your WordPress site. Again, those 5 WordPress plugins are: number 1, resize images before upload; number 2, grab and save; number 3, shortcode exec PHP; number 4, simple post template; and number 5, Pretty Link Pro. You can get all of those links in the show notes or below this video. Now that I've given you some of the guts and taught you some of the tools, it's time for you to go podcast with passion, organization, and dialogue. I'm Daniel J. Lewis. Thank you for watching.